Alright guys, I've been making progress. It's almost there. So this is the enclosure. Let me see if my camera can zoom out far enough to see it, but yeah, it's as you can see, plywood and then 2 layers of sound dampening on each edge, and then these are all just to give it more structural rigidity. You know, it's got one of these everywhere, and I got all the brackets made for the screws and the stepper motors and the screw bearing blocks, and so yeah, enclosure's coming along. I'll show you the door here in a minute. So I got these rails are all done. Figured out how I'm going to do the screw on the top. It's just going to go on the very top up here, and I'm going to have to drill holes for the screw block right about here. But let me show you the brackets I made. Luckily I had this piece of scrap 1/2 inch. So see, for the top x-axis, I've got 2 1/2 inch spacers, and that's gonna give it 1 inch away so the bolt heads don't interfere. See, this is the bracket for the top. So this thing is gonna go right about here. Right about there is where the motor's gonna go, and the screw block is gonna screw right about here, and it's gonna be spaced out 1 inch. And then because everything's offset of this top rail, I've got two pieces of steel here that are 1/4 inch thick, because for these to go onto and to be offset where they need to go. So because the motor actually sits down a hair lower than these bearing blocks, so these are going to sit right about like that, and this is a 1/4 inch up. And the motor has to be 3 millimeters up. So the motor sits lower, which is kind of stupid. That's why nothing was lining up. So I got this one done for the top here. This one is for this. Okay, here's the x-axis. And it was all done except for the stepper bracket. So I made the stepper bracket. This one has a 3 millimeter drop, and it's going to go this way, and that'll fit right in there. And use that slot to put some bolts in through the aluminum. So that's for that one. And then for this one, well, I made this bar because this is has a slight slant downward. So this bar will make them perfectly level. And I had a bunch of this left over, the steel left over. So I'm just going to drill and tap the metal together. I'm not going to weld it. But this motor has the bracket with a 1/4 inch spacer, and that and this 1/2 inch block for a spacer. So it's 3/4 of an inch back. Oops. And this will bolt right on the side here, so it sticks 3/4 of an inch farther back, and it's going to have, I'm going to drill some holes and bolt it to the side like this. And I did run into one issue that I wasn't paying attention. This bar here, I'm going to need to bolt these bearing blocks. It's going to go like further past. It's going to go like right about here. But it's wider than this thing. I didn't even notice that. It's no big deal. I have to go cut a couple more of these. And then I can just stick it on there like that. I might weld those since on the bigger one it might be this one's wider, so it might run out of room to put bolts through it. This one there's room for bolts, but I don't think there will be for that one. So it'd be easier just to weld that real quick, and but I will be using bolts to hold the ends down. I'm not going to weld on the actual frame no more. And then this will go here, and yep. So I got everything figured out, all the brackets made, and yeah, I haven't really had time to test any of it. So and that's it. That's the last thing. Once that's all together, I just got to run the wires and the hoses, and I've got all that all prepared and ready, so it ain't going to take much. And then this enclosure, so this is what I'm going to make the door like. This is the frame for the door, and I want to have it, there's going to be 3 inches of overlap for sealing all the way around. There's 3 inches of overlap for sealing to seal tightly, and and the top and the bottom are both going to be 3 inches shorter, so the bottom don't drag on the floor. It's actually, the bottom's 3 inches off the ground, and I took 3 inches off the top too to make everything work out right. So yeah, that's going to be it. Yeah, this has only got one layer on it. I was going to put that window in it, but I decided the amount of work it's going to take to put a window in it and lose the sound dampening effect, because the window is going to be, you know, it's going to be a loss point, you know. I was like, well, the window is going to be hard to see through anyways. And I'm going to put, I've got a webcam to put in here. So I'm going to put a webcam inside and maybe do 2 webcams inside. And so I was like, well, screw having a door. I don't need a door or a window. I don't need a window. So I'll just use webcams. And then I got these, I got 2 of these 24-inch these LED light sticks, 24 inches. I plugged this in earlier, and these are nice and bright, and I got 2 of them. So these are going to go, they'll fit in there just perfect and keep this thing lit up so the webcams can see it real good. So yeah, I'm getting super close. Won't be long, next video or 2 I'll be actually milling with it. Alright, later guys.